Yo, we're back with another fire pod. I'm sorry, we're back with another fire stream. I haven't done a podcast in a very long time, but we're back with another fire stream. We're talking Caitlin Clark, we're talking Stephen Curry, we're talking Angel Reese, Lisa Leslie, we're talking Sabrina Ionescu and Stephen Curry, and how right now in San Francisco, which is supposed to be the All-Star game for the NBA, and kind of Stephen Curry's moment. Also, we know Stephen Curry is 36 or 37 years old, and this is like probably the last time he's going to be the host and the main attraction at NBA All-Star Weekend. For it's like they're playing at his city, the city that he helped build a dynasty, the city that he helped put on the map for us, the Golden State Warriors, especially when we talk about just global dominance and also global sports franchises. When we talk about the amount of revenue and also just popularity, I think they're top 5 to Golden State Warriors for his value, and that's largely contribute to Stephen Curry and the things he has done on the basketball court, which also brings into a discussion on how eventually NBA players probably need to get equity or some share within franchises, because without Stephen Curry, the Golden State Warriors wouldn't be a top 5 most valuable franchise. But when we talk about Sabrina Ionescu, when we talk about Stephen Curry, when we talk about Caitlin Clark, the conversation amongst those individuals, because we're talking about how the All-Star Weekend is not going to feature Sabrina Ionescu and Stephen Curry Part 2. We're also talking about Caitlin Clark, and we're talking about who has really helped the growth of the WNBA and women's basketball game more, Stephen Curry or Caitlin Clark. And we're mentioning those two because of the fact of it was a comment made by Commissioner Adam Silver, and he talked about how it was Stephen Curry who has helped grow the girls' side of basketball and also helped the sport grow globally. And it brings into question who has helped the game more on the women's side, not the men's side, the women's side for this is a game of basketball when we think about between Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark. And I know a lot of people are going to come out and say Caitlin Clark, and I want to find it. Let me find a tweet. A lot of people are going to come out and say that it has to be Caitlin Clark when we're talking about who has helped the growth of the women's game more. And I'm here to say is I don't know about that. And this is the quote from Commissioner Adam Silver. He praises Stephen Curry. Steph is the commissioner's dream. He makes my job easy. He plays with real joy. He's so relatable as a player. I actually think the growth we've seen in the girls and women's basketball is directly related to Steph. I think Steph has been responsible for a surge in growth and participation globally. When we talk about Stephen Curry, we talk about Caitlin Clark. When we talk about the women's game, when we talk about growth and we talk about overall impact, these are two of the biggest athletes in the world globally. And when you hear Adam Silver talk about a commissioner's dream, Stephen Curry is a commissioner's dream. And when we talk about who has helped the game grow more on the women's side between Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark, I know a lot of people are going to be quick to say Caitlin Clark, and she has valid reasons why you can pinpoint Caitlin Clark for the overall growth of the women's side of sports. And the fact of the matter is, for Caitlin Clark, she has shifted the narrative around the women's basketball. She's made it more exciting. She's made it more visible from the college game all the way to the WNBA game. But just like Stephen Curry, her fan base has gone from the college game into the NBA, into the WNBA game. So we look at Caitlin Clark from Iowa, the momentum, everything that she's brought to the game of college basketball, arguably being the greatest college basketball player of all time, regardless of gender, and breaking all the records that she's broken in the college game. Her fan base transferred to the WNBA side, similar to Stephen Curry when we talk about his impact on Davidson and how he really gave us one of the greatest March Madness tournaments of all time, and how his style of play came over towards the NBA as well. And his fan base went from Davidson to the NBA as well. Not as big as Caitlin Clark, I would say, but it's definitely similarities. But Caitlin Clark shifting the narrative around the women's game. She has been responsible helping the visibility to participating in the excited style of play, the pace, and the packed out games, the clutch performance. All that helps to contribute to Caitlin Clark being the focal point of helping the women's side. When you think of who has helped the women's side more between Stephen Curry and Caitlin Clark, if you look at that portion, people are going to say definitely Caitlin Clark. And then we talk about the elite scoring and elite shooting ability from Caitlin Clark and bringing that play style into the WNBA game, into the college game. That has also helped the momentum of the women's side as well, including breaking records and setting milestones and just the overall impact on the women's college basketball popularity. And when she was playing in college, the popularity on the women's side was more popular than on the men's side. So all that's contribute to Caitlin Clark. But when Adam Silver comes out and says that Stephen Curry has legitimately helped the growth we've seen in girls and in women's basketball is directly related to Stephen Curry, I think Steph has been responsible for the surge in growth and participation globally. And that's just what it is. It's globally. Stephen Curry has been responsible for how teams operate on the basketball court, especially a team style play. Analytics favor Stephen Curry's play style with the threes and the layups and the fast-paced type of offense. And a lot of teams that is offensive-centric around that style of play, and that's contributed to Stephen Curry and his overall impact on the modern day game of basketball. But when we talk about just individually, without Stephen Curry, there's no Caitlin Clark. Without Stephen Curry, there's no Kelsey Plum. Without Stephen Curry, there's no Sabrina Ionescu. And all those women have credited Stephen Curry for helping them become who they are, and also them looking up and watching his game and wanting to do things similar to what he does on the basketball court, which they all do. So when we talk about Stephen Curry, we talk about who has helped the women's game grow more. A lot of people are going to say Caitlin Clark, and if they're saying Caitlin Clark, you're coming from the lens of right now. You're coming from the lens of what we're seeing from Caitlin Clark and the things that she's doing and the money she's generating. But without Stephen Curry, there's no Caitlin Clark. So Adam Silver is saying that Stephen Curry has been responsible for the surge of the girls and the women's side of basketball. He's absolutely right, due to the fact that he's transformed basketball at all levels. Both men and women prioritize shooting. His deep range ability has refined offensive strategy and offensive-centric offenses and have led an entire modernized sport on the men's side of basketball, and also we're seeing this on the women's side as well. And when we think about women and skill set and how women's game is based on skill set more so than athleticism, a lot of that's contributed to also Stephen Curry, due to the fact that a lot of female basketball players are developing elite shooting skills. And then we have the first really female version of Stephen Curry enter the WNBA and also in Iowa, the college basketball, and bring this play style, this unique play style that we never seen before, that has helped contribute to the success of the women's game, but that traces back to Curry's influence. And once again, many WNBA stars, including Sabrina Ionescu, Kelsey Plum, and Caitlin Clark, have credited Stephen Curry for influencing their game. So his play style, his style has become the model for guards in the WNBA and the way the game is played and also coached. So when we think about who has helped revolutionize the sport of basketball, and you hear Adam Silver come out and say that I believe that Stephen Curry has helped the surge on the women's game, he's 100% 1,000% correct. And this is no knock or this is no shade for Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark is phenomenal and she's about to take it to another level. But Caitlin Clark is a Stephen Curry disciple, just like Sabrina Ionescu, just like Trae Young. He is the original. He is the ultimate creator. He is the one that's been responsible for bringing a new play style, not just in the NBA, but also globally as well. So when we think about both men and women prioritizing shooting in both leagues, his deep range ability has redefined, once again, I'm going to say it again, his deep range shooting ability has redefined offensive strategies. And he's also leading a generation of female, it has led to a generational increase of female basketball players developing elite shooting skills as well. So it's definitely Stephen Curry. And Caitlin Clark, once again, has made a significant impact on the women's basketball in several ways. But Curry's global popularity has brought more attention to the Women's Basketball Association. His influence extends beyond the U.S., and he's inspired all hoopers worldwide. Clark's reach is still growing. Clark's reach is still going to get there. But for the originator, the creator, the one that has disciples is Stephen Curry. And eventually one day we'll see Caitlin Clark have disciples and people monitoring their game after hers, but she modeled her game after Stephen Curry, and that's why she's a Stephen Curry disciple. She's a 4-level scorer. She's one of the most prolific shooters and playmakers in the WNBA side. She's one of the best generators we've ever seen, but a lot of that is contribute to the way she grew up idolizing, watching, trying to model her game after Stephen Curry. So when you hear Adam Silver say this, it's no surprise. And it shouldn't be a shocker. And it's not to take away from Caitlin Clark. She's a phenomenal talent. And her game and her worldwide reaching popularity is going to definitely increase over time. But it's no knock to say that Stephen Curry has contributed to the surge of girls and women's basketball more so than Caitlin Clark. So, and then we talk about Caitlin Clark declining the invite for the All-Star 3-point contest and to come along and team up with Sabrina Ionescu and Caitlin Clark, probably versus Stephen Curry, and I'm assuming Klay Thompson. And now that the fact that Caitlin Clark is not doing it and participating, now we're hearing reports that Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu are not going to compete for a part two at the All-Star weekend because they wanted things to be bigger. They wanted things to be bigger than it was last year. And we know we saw record viewership between Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu. It was a highlight of All-Star weekend last year with Stephen Curry winning 29 3-pointers made to Sabrina Ionescu's 26. But Caitlin Clark came out and said, yeah, I'm not going to be a side piece. I am the entree. My first 3-point event is going to be at the All-Star 2025 All-Star weekend at where I play in Indianapolis, as well as I wanted my first to be a part of the WNBA game as well before I come on and probably do the NBA showcase and team up event probably with Sabrina Ionescu. And it's not surprising because when Caitlin Clark is that big, and I always say this, as far as American sports, outside of LeBron James and Stephen Curry, the new face of basketball is going to be Caitlin Clark going forward. And even though I'm saying that Stephen Curry is more responsible for the growth and surge of not just the women's game, but basketball in general, more so than Caitlin Clark is definitely next up, and she's going to carry that mantle of American sports because she is the it factor. She is the needle mover. Everything revolves around Caitlin Clark and her overall influence and contribution to shifting the narrative around women's basketball, to bringing a new play style in the women's game, to breaking records, to setting milestones, and having an impact on women's college basketball popularity and just popularity in general, also empowering young athletes. A total culture shift in women's sports has been contributed to Caitlin Clark, even though she is a disciple of Stephen Curry, who Stephen Curry is one-on-one, first four-level scorer we've ever seen in the game of basketball. His ability with his handle ability and going from his quickness from handle ability to shot making ability is something we've never seen before. His quick twitch off his release, his no-look threes. Like, we have never seen something of his ilk before. Then he has the disciples, Trae Young, Sabrina Ionescu, Caitlin Clark, all are his disciples. It still just goes to show you how big Caitlin Clark is when we think of how she can change things in an instant, because it's no way that Sabrina Ionescu and Stephen Curry in the NBA probably thought that they weren't going to have a team-up event after this amazing event with Stephen Curry and Sabrina Ionescu last year, which drew record-breaking numbers. But Caitlin Clark said, nah, once again, I am the entree, not the side dish. I'm doing things my way, and this is my personal brand. So shout outs to her. And so it's unfortunate for basketball fans, NBA fans, WNBA fans, and hopefully the NBA can start coming over and doing things. NBA players can start coming over and doing things with the WNBA player. It doesn't always have to be the WNBA players coming over to the NBA event. We need more collaboration between both leagues. And I think that's going to elevate and help both leagues grow viewership. And also it's important to have that connection and that teamwork, to that overall togetherness for us, helping the game of basketball continue to reach new levels and new heights. Now, also want to talk about another legend in Lisa Leslie, which was on Angel Reese's podcast. And I like Angel Reese's podcast because she does a little bit of everything. She keeps it culture, fashion, basketball. She has interviews, and sometimes we get an interview that is a must watch. And this interview with, I believe, Lisa Leslie and Angel Reese is a must watch because Lisa Leslie is a legend. She's one of the founding women in the WNBA's legacy, pioneers of the game. Arguably, you can consider her one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. She was that great. She was that phenomenal. Like, probably top 4 on the Mount Rushmore of WNBA players of all time. First WNBA player to dunk a basketball. So when she's on your podcast and she says things, you want to listen, because when she speaks, it's like, I need to lock in. It's like if you're having a conversation with Stephen Curry, or if Stephen Curry was having a conversation with Michael Jordan, when he did an interview, Stephen Curry did an interview with Michael Jordan, he was asking questions, but he was listening, actively listening. So,
would get for me season 2, going in my season 2, what's some advice that you would give for me? Season 2, I can't wait to work with you some more. The biggest advice I have for you is going to be how you shoot your layups, period. Like, we're going to fix that.
Period. She came out and said, period. Like, the biggest advice that I have for you, and obviously Angel Reese, for people that said she's not working on her craft enough because they see things, they don't see her in the gym and things of that nature. But obviously Lisa Leslie is telling you, like, what we're going to work on, and meaning that they've been working together. What they're going to work on going forward, what Lisa Leslie wants to work on going forward, is fixing her layups, which, as much as people have conversations and talk about Angel Reese, she had a generational rookie season as well, averaging a double-double. And I've said this before, and I'll say this again. In her prime, she can be a 20-12 basketball player if she develops her offensive skill set. And I'm not really worried about the second level and the jump shot. Yes, that can happen over time, but it's the around the rim game. If she literally, because some nights she'll miss 4, 5, 6 layups. If she literally works on learning how to lay the ball up the right way, her scoring can go from literally like 11 points per game to 16 points per game this upcoming season. So Lisa Leslie, and she's a legend. So when she talks, you're going to listen.
Yeah.
That's fixable for you. And I think that's probably the biggest. I think your shot from the outside is improving. I love that your ball handling is good. Your defense is improved. Like the fact that you be snatching that ball from them girls.
And that's one thing when we talk about Angel Reese, her defensive capability. She's a great defender, and she hustles and she plays extremely hard.
Be cracking up like, oh, she got another one. Like, I love the fact that you are like putting so much pressure on them defensively and just the idea that you want to get better. Like,
Yeah.
I love that. And again, I didn't know you well, just talking to you and just giving you like some love, but then hearing you like, yes, I want to learn. I want to work hard. I want to be better. Like that is just like my heart melted because I'm like, wow, it could be just like, okay, come in here. Maybe she's serious, maybe she's not. But for me to hear from you and see that you're like, yes, I want you to work with me. Like, I want you to help me. I want to get better. That's what it's about. The fact that you already have that attitude, you're going to get better. And I can help you get better.
And this is good. When you're working with legends, when you have a person that wants to get better and focus on getting better, great things are going to happen. And I appreciate y'all for hopping on this stream. Once again, it's your boy, Ma K. Smith. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on AKISS NBA on all social media platforms when we talk to NBA and the WNBA. Also, especially follow me on Threads. And I'm gone, man. Peace.